Well, hey, good afternoon. This is Joe Van Cleave. Welcome to another episode of the Typewriter video series. Today, we're going to be talking about writing sheds or writer's sheds. And this is a subject that has been interesting to me for a long time because I do have a little shed in my backyard here, and it originally started as a playhouse I built for my grandkids, but it's evolved into a man cave shed and a writing shed. And, the history of writing sheds goes back a long time. It predates typewriters, of course, mechanized type. Writers have had a lot of good reasons to want to separate themselves from their household and to be in a place that's secluded and quiet where they can concentrate and where they can focus on their writing. And usually that meant employing an outbuilding of some kind. May have originally been maybe a tool shed or a garden shed or even a chicken coop or something like that. But people have gotten very creative and innovative over the years in being able to repurpose these outbuildings as temporary places to set up and write. So I'm going to just show you a little bit about just an idea for how fairly easy it is to make a writer's shed and put it in even a small backyard such as mine. So let's take a look here. Okay, so my writer's shed is in the corner of my backyard. It's actually built onto these pyramid-shaped blocks that sets the base of the shed off the ground. There's 4 of them, one in each corner, one in the middle. The floor plan of the shed is 8 foot square, so you can use standard 4x8 types of construction materials. This sheathing on the outside walls is a single layer of, it's kind of an exterior grade sheetrock that already has textured and painted, so it's exterior grade. You don't need to do anything with it. But cutting it with a table saw or a skill saw, it will definitely cut up a blade. So you kind of have to have a disposable saw blade to use it. It's real simple, a simple door that opens up. And so the thing about man cave sheds or writing sheds is there's 2 different kinds of philosophy about how you're going to outfit your shed. So one philosophy about sheds is that for writing purposes, you're going to want to have either no distraction at all, have a simple bare bones writing table or desk or little tray table, or you need inspiration to help write and to help be creative, in which case you're going to want to outfit your shed maybe with a little bit more decor and creativity than otherwise. I think my personal philosophy tends to gravitate on the side of needing a little bit of inspiration. And so what I've sought to do is I've kind of outfitted the back of the shed here with some salvaged wood that I've made into these makeshift shelves. I have a Japanese pachinko machine. I have some of my photography books that I've made, some just personal knickknacks and whatever that may not mean anything to anybody else, old bottles and other kinds of decor. Everybody needs a Pink Floyd lunchbox in their writer's shed, of course. And I have some posters here that for basement films. Here is one that I actually taught a basement film seminar years ago. So I have a lot of things. I have a little black and white TV down here that I can use with a converter box for an off-the-air TV. I have a little audio amplifier and a set of Bose bookshelf speakers, and I have even a little shrine kind of box up here, but it's all kind of inspirational. And so let me sit down here. We'll talk about writer's sheds. So I like to use these little tray tables, these folding tray tables. Bring a typewriter out here or a notepad and fountain pen based on your favorite writing style. But so the thing about sheds is you're going to want to decide if you want electricity or not. Now, this particular building is built as a temporary structure. It's not permanent on a permanent foundation. But I did wire the walls and the ceiling for electricity, and I have an outdoor grade electrical outlet box on the side of the shed, and I can run an extension cord from the house using a GFCI circuit interrupter type breaker is for safety, and I can run an extension cord out to the shed here and I can power it. I do have, I wanted to show you this. I made a little light fixture out here, and it's made of an old colander, and I spray painted it with titanium spray paint, and I put a light kit in it, and of course a pull chain, and everybody needs a little Zeppelin wind-up toy hanging from their light fixture, of course, for inspiration. But so you might want to have electricity, but if you're the kind of rider that doesn't want to be distracted, maybe you don't want music, or maybe just music and no TV. Maybe you don't want internet. So this shed is close enough to the house that I'm within Wi-Fi range, so I can bring my tablet or computer out here if I want to have the internet. I can stream music and plug it into my audio amplifier if I need to. But it all depends on your personal philosophy as to whether you're a rider that wants no distractions, or if you're a rider that wants to be inspired by music and by having little things around you that are cool, that might spur on your creativity. So you kind of have to decide that. For this particular shed, as I said, I'm using these little tray tables that I can set up in front of my chair. They seem to work fine for me. But you might want to consider bringing a desk in here, or you can make a desk-like surface. You can put a work surface along one side of the shed, maybe 2 foot deep or so, and you can set up a chair and you can put shelving up there, and that would be easy to make. Speaking of making, let's talk a little bit more about the construction of the shed. The floor is a 8 foot square, and it's composed of pressure treated 2x4s and covered in plywood, exterior grade plywood on the floor, and then I have some adhesive vinyl type tiles on top of that, and you could do the flooring however you want. You could even do ceramic tile if you're into that. Anyway, the walls are 2-inch thick, so I took 2x4s and I split them within a table saw and made 2-inch, and I framed up a 2-inch thick wall. In the wall is that 1-inch thick foam insulation that has a plastic barrier on one side, and then this is simply paneled in this wood paneling. It's really easy to do. If I can do it, anybody can do it. The ceiling is basically made the same way. It's the two sides of the roof angle up. There's a common beam up on top here, and the roof is insulated the same as the walls are. There's paneling up there. And then the exterior of the roof is steel roofing panels with those screws that have the little rubber gaskets so the rain doesn't go through. And that's a very durable kind of way to do a roof. It's easy to do. Cheap plastic windows you can get at the hardware store, or you can find salvaged windows. There's all kinds of ways to do sheds. You can get fancy, you can be simple with it. The big thing is deciding what kind of a rider you are. Do you want distraction or inspiration? Do you want no distraction? Do you want an austere type of shed or not? Those are decisions you'll have to make. So you might be out here at odd times of the year when the weather isn't perfectly comfortable. You're going to have to decide, if it's cold out, how are you going to heat the shed? If you're going to be out here for a long time, and if you're set up for it, you can get a little tiny wood stove. But those take a while to start up to get the room hot. You could do other kinds of heating, like the kinds that are little heaters that are seen on tiny houses and on boats that might run on propane or whatever. Since I run an electrical cord from the house, I use a little tiny space heater, and this little 8-foot square shed is small enough and insulated well enough that it'll heat it up pretty nicely in a short period of time. So I kind of like that, because I can come out here at any time I want. I can get it running, and then 10 minutes later it's warm enough to occupy. As far as the summer goes, I use a little fan in here to circulate the air. Now it can get pretty hot in here in the American Southwest in the summertime. So if you really have to be out here in that kind of climate, or if you're in the part of the world where it's really humid, you might want to consider air conditioning. One of the things that you can do with air conditioning is they have standalone little air conditioning units that set up by themselves on the floor next to your window, and they use a duct, like a 4-inch duct, that runs up to the window. Then you install a little panel in the window to exhaust the heat. Those things can really work well. They don't take up that much room, and it'll cool down one of these places really well. So you could be out here all time, all summer in the hot, humid, wherever you live, and it would work fine for you. So that's the thing about sheds. They're small enough and light enough and easy enough to build. You don't really need to necessarily spend a lot of money on a pre-made kit. You can build it yourself like I did with a few simple power tools, and it really is easy. But having your own shed is a really cool thing to do. It's a getaway. You get away from the distractions and noise of the family at the house. And you have an isolated space that you make it your own space. It's your space. You do whatever you want. Make it look however you want. There's no distraction. If you don't want any distraction, you can make it quiet, austere, or you can have music, whatever you want. Get out there in that shed and with your typewriter or however you like to write with, and go to it and write. So this is Joe Van Cleave from the Man Cave Writer's Shed in Albuquerque, New Mexico. You have yourself a great day.